Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Sumitomo Chemical India Limited Q4 and FY21 earnings conference call. This conference call may contain forward-looking statements about the company, which are based on the beliefs, opinions, and expectations of the company as on date of this call. These statements are not guarantees of future performance and involve risks and uncertainties that are difficult to predict. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. From the management, today we have on the call Mr. Chetan Shah, Managing Director, Mr. Sushil Marfatia, Executive Director, Mr. Masanori Ozawa, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Kunal Mittal, Senior VP, Planning and Coordination Office, Mr. Praveen Desai, Company Secretary and Compliance Officer, and Mr. Anil Nawal, Chief Financial Officer, Dr. Suresh Ramachandran, Chief Commercial Officer, and colleagues from SGA, their Investor Relations Advisors. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Chetan Shah. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Shah.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. I hope you and your family members are staying healthy and safe in this unprecedented challenging times. First of all, let me acknowledge the efforts of our people in midst of COVID-19 pandemic to put their best foot forward. The production team, the sales team, the procurement, IT, finance, each one of them, to overcome all the challenges and for achieving a great performance for 19-20-21. I sincerely thank each one of them from the bottom of my heart. In addition to all the members who had attended the last investor call in November 2020, we have a new member joining the call today from our side, Dr. Suresh Ramachandran, who has recently joined the company as Chief Commercial Officer, leading various sales and marketing functions. And we look forward to a great performance by him to have a new look at the marketing and to achieve what we have set ourselves out to achieve. So welcome, Suresh, and looking forward to a great relationship. Let me now give you a brief overview on the agri-inputs industry in general. The agrochemical market in India is being driven by rising demand for higher quantity and, more importantly, better quality of food, and expected to continue growing with the growth in the economy. However, the average per hectare consumption of agrochemicals in India is, as I have said this before as well, is about 1/10 of the USA and UK, further lower as compared to Japan and China. As per various estimates, adequate and proper use of agrochemicals can result in significant yield increase across major crops. Governments, and especially the Honorable Prime Minister's thrust on increasing farmers' income, is a very vital part of increasing spend on the inputs, including crop protection products. Shifting food consumption patterns and focus towards PGRs, biopesticides, biological control agents, and biostimulants have resulted in higher than industry growth rate for these categories in recent years and is expected to drive the future growth. Agrochemicals industry's capacity utilization also has seen improved performance on the back of greater domestic demand and growing export opportunities. let me now focus on current trends. We started the financial year 2020-21 with lower inventories level, and there were several supply side disruptions in the months of April, May, and June of 2020. This resulted in disruptions in production, supply chain, and logistics. However, the demand for market was strong due to favorable weather conditions and higher agricultural activities across the country. Overall impact of COVID-19 pandemic on companies' operations were minimal for the full year basis in financial year 2021. The second wave of COVID-19 in India has witnessed wider spread to rural and semi-rural areas and has impacted sales in current quarter, but fortunately not materially so far as we are concerned. Weather conditions and demand factors appears to be favorable so far. We have built a much higher level of inventories in March 2021 as compared to March 2020 to handle any disruptions and remain cautiously optimistic for the upcoming monsoon season. I would like to highlight that our business is seasonal in nature and we should be comparing the results accordingly. For example, the first quarter cannot be compared with the fourth quarter. The second quarter cannot be compared with the first quarter, and the third quarter cannot be compared with the second quarter, and more so fourth quarter cannot be compared with the third quarter. The real comparison is from a current quarter to previous year quarter because it gives the same seasonal variations comparison. So I request everyone to take a note of this. This is my personal opinion, and we should look at our sector as a quarter-to-quarter comparison of each year rather than previous year. Thank you so much. I now request Mr. Anil Nawar, our CFO, to please take you through our consolidated financial performance. Anil bhai.
Good afternoon. Financial performance. Consolidated Q4. We recorded a 20% year-on-year growth in our total revenue from rupees 447 crore in Q4 FY 1920 to rupees 534 crore in Q4 FY 2021. EBITDA came in at rupees 71 crore in Q4 FY 2021, which is up by 72% as compared to rupees 41 crore in the same quarter last year. EBITDA margin in the current quarter widened by 407 basis points to 13.4% from 9.3% in Q4 FY 1920. Profit after tax witnessed a growth of 136% at rupees 54 crore in Q4 FY 2021 as against 23 crore in the same quarter last year. PAT margin stood at 10.1%, up by 500 basis points, vis-a-vis 5.1% in Q4 FY 1920. Now, let us talk of consolidated performance for full year FY 2021. Revenue from operation in FY 2021 stood at rupees 2645 crore, up by 9% as compared to rupees 2425 crore in FY 1920. EBITDA witnessed a growth of 46% from rupees 333 crore in FY 1920 to rupees 487 crore in FY 2021. Our EBITDA margin expanded by 467 basis points to 18.4% in FY 2021 from 13.7% in FY 1920. PAT for financial year 2021 witnessed a jump of 69% to rupees 345 crore from rupees 205 crore in FY 1920. Now I request our Executive Director, Mr. Sushil Marfatia, to provide analysis of our performance.
Good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned by Mr. Shasan, due to favorable weather conditions, we witness an increase in volume demand across our all products portfolio with improved price realization for some of the products. If we look at segment-wise breakup of our total revenues in financial year 2021, insecticides product contributed 45%, herbicide product contributed 19%, PGR and fungicides each contributed 11% each. Animal nutrition and environmental health division segment contributed about 7% of the revenues. Herbicides and PGR segments, which are high growth potentials and margin contributing segments, witness higher growth as compared to other segments. In financial year 2021, we launched 7 new products. We have similar robust pipeline of products to be launched during this year. Our team used digital marketing as a parallel and very effective support to traditional marketing system, especially for the new products launches. Among export markets, growth in Latin America market was extraordinary due to sales to our affiliates in Latin America market and increased contribution from 2% share in the total revenue for financial year 1920 to 4% share in total revenue in financial year 2021. Improvement in margin is due to multiple factors such as better price realization in some of the products, better product and segment mix like higher growth in specialty product segment, improved operational efficiencies, cost optimization and merger synergies resulted in higher margins. Working capital position. We have improved collection to 3139 crores in 2021 as compared to 2776 crores in the same period last year. Overall receivables level in March 2021 were lower by about 11 days as compared to March 2020. The increase in inventory days was partly offset by the higher payables days. So we achieved overall decrease in the working capital cycle to 103 days in financial year 2021 from 115 days in financial year 1920. We have a cash and cash equivalent of rupees 5,320 million rupees as on 31st March 2021. Now I would request Mr. Kunal Mittal, our Senior Vice President Planning and Coordination Office, to give you more information on our CapEx plans for coming years. Over to Kunal, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Markatia. Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see in our investor presentation, which is publicly available now, we have a very well diversified platform for growth across various segments, and we are working on multiple strategies for future growth and margin improvements. This has been a continuous process for us in the past, and we plan to carry forward that particular process. Today, we would also like to give you an overview of our CapEx plans and the CapEx cycle we plan to enter into in next few years. Historically, if we look at the past trends, we have been spending annual CapEx budget of about 70 to 75 crore Indian rupees towards various regular requirements. In addition to the regular CapEx requirements, we plan to manufacture in India few of the products for our parent company SCC and our global affiliates. We have shortlisted and approved 5 proprietary products from SCC to be made in India in next 2 years. These 5 projects will require a capex of about 100 to 110 crore Indian rupees over next 2 years, And as I said, we are targeting to commercialize these products within next 2 years. These projects will be set up at our existing facilities, and the estimated margins and the financial returns of these products are in line with our current trends. As these products are growing globally, we have potential to further enhance capacities for these products in medium to long term once the initially approved capex cycle is completed in next 2 to 3 years. In addition to these, we are also evaluating and discussing several additional molecules and products to be manufactured in India for our parent company SCC and our global affiliates, which also includes some of our affiliates in very high growth potential geographies such as Latin America. And once any of these projects are shortlisted, these projects will require additional capex from our side. In addition to these Make in India projects for our global affiliates, our India R&D team is also working on manufacturing several additional off-patent products which will have demand both in Indian domestic market as well as from the exports market, including some of the very high growth regions such as Latin America, African markets and Asia Pacific, wherein we have a very robust distribution network. Once shortlisted, any of these off-patent additional products, these products will also require additional capex from our side to commercialize. For future expansion, as you all know, land is a very important sector, and we have recently signed and registered agreements to buy 2 additional land parcels. The first is a 20-acre privately owned land parcel adjoining to our existing Bhavnagar site, and the second is a 50-acre privately owned land parcel at a very prime location at Dahej estate within TCPR zone, which is a specific zone for petroleum, chemicals and petrochemicals investment companies. As part of our company's digital transformation journey, we have also implemented an advanced, fully integrated SAP system, SAP S/4HANA, across the entity. This will enable greater integration, efficiencies, and synergies across the organization and is expected to provide long-term benefits to our company. The system would also enable advanced data analytics, integrated business planning, timely system-driven interfaces to our distribution chain in near future. With this, I would like to take a pause and I will request and invite Dr. Suresh Ramachandran, Chief Commercial Officer, to share his thoughts.
Thank you, Kunal. Thanks, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining the call today. As introduced by our Managing Director at the beginning of the call, Mr. Chetan Shah, I've recently joined Sumitomo team. I come from the same industry, with an experience of more than 20 years in both multinational companies as well as domestic companies. I see our company, Sumitomo, having significant growth opportunities. As you would have seen in the investor presentation, our wide and varied portfolio of generic and specialty products, different teams managing different sets of products, a significant and robust channel and farmers reach through our sales team, marketing team on the ground, manufacturing footprint that's present in a robust manner, our R&D capabilities, plus direct or indirect presence, either we ourselves operate or through our parent company subsidiaries in many parts of the world, and our ability to export from Indian market, from Indian manufacturing, on support from the headquarters, Japan, puts us in a unique position in the Indian agrochemical industry. With regard to the near to midterm focus for Indian business, I would like to point out a couple of areas which we are working on heavily. Number one, successful launch of the pipeline products. From a sales and marketing side in the domestic market, we are expected to launch about 4 to 5 products in different segments in the coming 3 to 12 months time period, subject to all regulatory approvals. These new launches will aid in our growth, apart from the growth of the existing portfolio of products. Second point, as legacy companies, ex-ECCL and ex-Sumitomo had different systems and processes. We are spending quite a bit of time to integrate the systems and processes, which is expected to improve the efficiency and productivity of the overall organization across different levels. With the implementation of SAP HANA 4 recently, this journey has already started. The third and most important thing is digitalization. We are evaluating, and also some of it have already been implemented, of various digital technologies in all possible areas. For example, reaching out to the distributors, reaching out to the farmers, inventory management. So all of these things we are looking at wherever it is possible to deploy digital technologies. We are evaluating it, and some of the processes we have already started it. We aim to focus more on high growth, stable and high profitable segments such as herbicides, PGRs, and biorational products, and have increased the product offerings for both Kharif as well as Rabi to reduce the seasonality in the business. Overall, we are on growth path and plan to capitalize on our opportunities based on our strengths to deliver the growth. So with that, I turn it back to Kunal and the organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. So we can open the line for Q&A now.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Rohit Nagraj from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity and congrats on good set of numbers. So my first question is in terms of the growth strategy for 5 new products. So could you give a little more information? Are these patented products? How has been the current sourcing for these, and who else was competing with us, for getting the outsourcing opportunity from our parent? Thank you.
So all these products are proprietary products of Sumitomo Chemical Japan. Nobody else were manufacturing them. The source is being changed from Japan manufacturing to India manufacturing. So, and also these products can go globally. Suppose if product X out of these 5 was being exported from Japan to other countries, now it will be manufactured in India and exported. So, to what extent, whether we can fulfill the demand of the entire globe, that has to be seen. But I know one product which we are going to manufacture will not meet the demand of the entire globe. So that is where Kunal had said that in this type of products we have opportunity to even further grow by enhancing the capacities. And certain products will be limited to what capacities we are planning, and that will be manufactured from India and exported to various countries.
Yeah, got that. Understood. So just a concurrent question to this. So in terms of margins, you have indicated that margins will be similar. And is there any definitive growth plan in terms of product introductions over the next 3 to 5 years? So from our parent, we have got a mandate that, okay, we will be doing, say, 2-3 products every single year. And accordingly, we are also envisaging the growth, and we are making the investment in land as well as the infrastructure. And are these facilities dedicated for these 5 products, or these can be fungible depending on how the growth of these products pans out over the next 3-5 years? Thank you.
Okay. So these 5 products which we have planned now, currently, they all will be manufactured at 2 of our existing sites. So these new land acquisitions are not part of these 5 products. But with these 5 products getting into our 2 existing facilities, I think we would have exhausted our land parcel on this sites. And that is the reason why we have acquired new land parcels for the future growth. So, as for example, if we talk about our own R&D products of patented products to be manufactured, that is being planned out in the new sites. Similarly, if we want to manufacture some intermediates or we want to backward integrate some of our processes, they all will happen on these new sites. So that is the planning. But 5 existing products, we have fitted it in our existing sites.
Right. So the second question is in terms of R&D. You just touched base upon it. So how are we placed in terms of our current R&D activities? So is it predominantly to introduce the newer formulations and or probably the process improvement for the new products that are going to come from our parent or anything else? And in terms of strength, in terms of the infrastructure, how is it currently? Thank you.
Yeah. So, see, our R&D facilities are one of the best for formulation development, without any doubt. We have created many new formulations, including one which we will be launching in the month of July this year. And also for technical, as you very correctly said, the efficiencies improvement, the off-patent material to be manufactured economically in our plants. These are the activities which our R&D is very good in. And out of this off-patent products, we are 3 of the products are already cleared for pilot plants, all very, very successfully. And we are looking forward to those products going into commercial production.
Thank you. Mr. Nagaraj, may we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in the conference, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we would request you to rejoin the question queue. The next question is from the line of Manish Gupta from Solidarity. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I had 3 questions, sir. The first question is that these 5 new products that you are launching and the exciting vision you've laid out for new products that will come in. Is there a thumb rule one can use roughly of what revenue one can earn on such products, say over every 3-year period once the product scales? That's the first question. The second question is that given that these products are coming on the back of your global R&D investments, would the gross margin on these be higher than what the gross margin on the portfolio is at present? And the third and final question is that last year, because of COVID, did we actually see a decline in our marketing expenses over the previous year? Thank you.
Yeah. So, I may not be. I will answer all your questions in the same queue as you asked, but I'll answer your question overall. See, these products which are being manufactured or which we have decided to go ahead to set up the plants and manufacture. These are all very, very good products. Somehow we know the chemistry. We have worked very hard to improve the process and efficiencies. And this main product which we are going to manufacture, clothianidin, which is we have achieved a 99% plus purity. All these products, the revenue in any chemical industry, as you would know, if it is 1 to 1.5, it is very good. 1 to 2 is very, very good, and anything about 2 is excellent. So our aim is that we would like to have the revenue out of this products in excess of 2 to the investment. And as far as the margins are concerned, we will endeavor there are many things that go in, many things, and please understand that at the end of the day, when we sell that product, we have to be competitive, and we have to give the product to the customer at a competitive price. So our view is that we will definitely endeavor to maintain our gross margins in all these products to the current levels, and of course our aim will be to increase this margin. And your question regarding COVID, was it? I'm sorry.
Yes,
It was,
yes. Marketing expenses, whether the marketing expenses were lower because
So your COVID question was related to marketing expenses. Yes, of course, the marketing and traveling expenses were lower in the last year. However, if you see, there are some COVID-related expenses has also gone up. Now, I mean, just to give you a few examples, I mean, we, our philosophy that we rate safety to our people and to our plant as a very, very important thing. And in order to maintain the safety of our people, we had to incur many additional expenditures which we normally would not incur, like transportation of each and every worker from the place of residence to a factory, maintaining the social distancing in the vehicle, etc., etc. To avoid the crowd or people at one point of time at the lunch hour or dinner hour, we had to create many additional, lunching and dining facilities in our plants. We have taken care of our people, COVID medicines, COVID, related, if somebody gets hospitalized or somebody, we have taken care of each and every person. So, having said that, but yes, fundamentally, marketing expenditures were at a lower side. However, our digital expenditure or digital marketing expenditure were more as compared to the previous year.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankur Periwal from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi sir. Congrats for a good set of number and thanks for the opportunity. So couple of questions. So, one on the capex side. Now, you did mention, the normal capex of 70, 75 and this, the additional capex for the exports opportunity. Given that these products are, already there operational, will it be fair to assume that whenever the plants get commissioned, let's say over 2 years, the ramp up here will be much faster? And accordingly, alluding to your explanation, wherein probably one product there could be even further growth potential, we will be ramping up capacities accordingly. Will that be a fair assumption?
Yes, it would be.
Great. And sir, this capex of 70-75 is largely for the generic portfolio that we have for the domestic market.
Yes.
That run rate remains as it is.
That remains as it is because there is a constant improvement on efficiencies and expanding capacities of certain molecules where we see demand higher or some export opportunities of those products, etc. So that capex will remain.
Sure. So where I was coming from was, your commentary of adding, let's say, 4 to 5 products, more or less, on an annual run rate. So this incremental capex will be suffice to address the existing portfolio as well as these newer products which come up.
So 70 to 75 crores rupees we are keeping for existing products, and around 110 crores rupees is for these new 5 products.
The export
So total capex will be 175, but yeah, it will be in that range.
Sure. And just on the...
Ankur, hi, Kunal this side. So on this question, basically what Shashank just now explained is about the products wherein we are required to create manufacturing capacities, wherein these investments are going. In addition to this, these 4 or 5 products which we plan to launch in the market, which Dr. Suresh explained, generally for these products we do not require large capex because we have the capacities within the groups across the globe. So these are the products wherein formulation capacities are already there, and this model of our part of the business doesn't require large amount of capex from our side to ramp up the volumes and grow in the Indian domestic market.
I'm sorry, I thought that you are asking for a capex for these 5 new technical products which we are going to manufacture for exports. If your question was related to the formulation or the new products introduction of formulation in Indian market, then we have got enough capacities to handle those products at a high volume. And even the existing products which go up, we only have to have a very small balancing capex, which comes out of that 70-75 crores in any case.
So it's a part of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That thanks for the clarification, sir. And just last thing, in the commentary we did mention, share from LATAM increasing. Given that, the global parent entity, expansion there in LATAM through NU Farm, will it be fair to say that those global synergies which we were expecting to play out are now sort of, scaling up? And there is, let's say, arguably a shift from China to India happening there, or is the current portfolio which is gaining penetration into the international market?
No, I think the shift up from China to India is a different subject and different topic altogether. But yes, I think what Japan is seeing, in my opinion, is our capability to manufacture in a good manner quality products, and our capability in even enhancing the efficiencies in those products. So, as I gave an example that clothianidin, we have created or we have worked a process and efficiencies to such a great extent that it is working out very well. And from say our 350 tons of capacity which we are putting up, probably in the second phase we can go to 700 tons.
And just to add here, I think to what the comment Shashank mentioned, I think as you rightly mentioned that the growth in Latin America is playing out for us, and this is a factor of multiple strategies. And last year in financial year 19-20, our total revenue to Latin America was 2% of our total revenue of the company, and in financial year 2021 that has become almost like 4%. So it has increased significantly, and as a trend, yes, we see significant growth coming from the Latin America geography on backup of some of the existing products and some more registration which are under pipeline, and we are expecting to receive regulatory approvals in next few months or years. And with that, I think that kind of a trend in the growth for Latin America as a focus market is likely to continue in future.
Thank you. Mr. Periwal, may we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we would request you to rejoin the question queue. The next question is from the line of Swati Hero from Ratnavali Investments. Please go ahead.
My first question is that do we pay any royalties to Sumitomo Japan right now?
No, we don't. And we don't see it even for the future products.
Okay. And my second question is regarding this continuing conversation on Latin America. So Sumitomo Japan in their presentations mentions this opportunity to be northwards of 10,000 crores. And by the numbers that you just mentioned, our current contribution is roughly 100 crores. So I just wanted to understand, so a few years down the line, where can we see this number reaching to?
No, so see, what figure you are talking about is of Sumitomo's acquisition of New Farm in Latin America, and what is the upside over there. Now that upside is basically for because of a new launch by Sumitomo of a product, brand new product, patented product that is likely to be marketed during this financial year, and they see a very big opportunity of that product. Now, if you say that what is the benefit that India we can derive out of that product, directly none, but indirectly, because we are manufacturing a fungicide which goes as a combination product, combination to this new molecule, we will have a huge opportunity of exporting our tebuconazole to Latin America. If this product becomes very big, we are into our current capacity will not be good enough. So we are planning to increase our capacity to double of existing capacity in our new land parcel in coming time.
Thank you. Ms. Heru, may we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. Thank you. The next question is from the line of S. Ramesh from Nirmal Bang. Please go ahead.
Good evening and thank you very much. So if you go back to the 5 proprietary products to be supplied to SCC, what is the status on the requirement for registration? Because if you have to export to other markets, you will need registration. So what is the status of the requirement of registration for the proprietary products?
Yeah, so for export registrations, there is no long timeline. We can get the registrations of these products within a period of 4 to 6 months, and also 2 or 3 of these products which we are talking about, we already have the registration in place.
Okay. And the second thing is, can you give us some sense in terms of what is the kind of market opportunity you see for these 5 proprietary products and outside of the supply to SCC, and what is the kind of number you are working with, to supply to other markets?
No, I think these are all proprietary products of Sumitomo. So we will supply to the customers of SCC Japan or under their wings or under their roof. Only we can seek the new customers. So our basic role will be to manufacture and supply to various Sumitomo companies.
Thank you. Mr. Ramesh, may we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Saurabh from AMSEC. Please go ahead. Saurabh, please go ahead with your question. Your line is in talk mode.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So the first question is on these 5 products. So what is the timeline by which these products will start contributing to the revenue? And will it be in a phased manner, and by when we can reach the 2x kind of asset turnover?
Yeah, so one of the products I think we are planning to launch by early 22, maybe by second quarter 22 or first quarter 22. And the remaining products will be also in, say, by end of 22 or beginning of 22.
Okay. And the second question is on glyphosate. So what is your take on overall global demand supply situation right now? And are you facing any supply situation in terms of raw material issues for glyphosate?
No, we are not facing any issue on procuring the raw materials. Yes, you are very right that glyphosate situation has gone absolutely berserk in China and the world, and the prices are constantly rising. So are the raw material prices on an upswing. However, we are quite well covered, at least till the month of September 1. We don't see any problem, and we have not faced any problems in getting our raw materials, even for fresh orders.
Thank you. Mr. Saurabh, may we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we would request you to rejoin the question queue. The next question is from the line of Jay Shah from OHM Portfolio Equity Research. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I had a basic question on your exports to Sumitomo. Are these exports at some kind of a contractual fixed pricing margin or cost plus? And secondly, when I look at your domestic business, which is essentially B2C, is it right to think that the domestic business, because it's B2C and retail, would have more gross margins and perhaps EBITDA margins than the export business, which is B2B?
As far as margins are concerned, I think our export margins and domestic margins are not very at a variance. Yes, certain brands which we sell B2C in domestic markets, specialty products, etc., could have higher margins, but the average margins of exports are also as good, because our export portfolio also includes the brand sales. It is not only active ingredients, but we have very robust brands in many of the markets where we sell our formulated branded products. So the margins are quite equitable as far as exports and the generic margins in domestic market are concerned. And I'm sorry, I missed your first question.
Yeah, on pricing, whether is there a contractual agreement on?
So this is actually not on the basis of the model of contract manufacturing. What we do is, we through our capability of production of quality product acceptable to HCC Japan, and then the pricing has to be on arm's length and on the basis of global demand and supply and global prices. So that's why I said earlier that we have to be competitive.
Okay, and when you talk about margins on exports and domestic, you're referring to gross margins or EBITDA margins?
No, I'm talking about gross margin.
Gross margin. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Faisal Hawa from HG Hawa and Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question to the management is, how do we see this opportunity, shaping up for local supplies also? And another question is that this is there any target of volume growth for us for the next 5 to 6 years from the Japanese management?
I wouldn't be able to quantify that answer, but if you look at our overall strategy of new introduction of products in domestic markets, expanding our reach in the global market, manufacturing products for HCC and their affiliates, manufacturing products of off-patent products, introducing new combination products, etc. I think we are looking at a very good. We feel we are on a very good wicket to bet on for a sustainable period of time and keep on growing our business.
So the key resource areas of top management are fixed by the Japanese management, and if at all, if you could share, what they are as a proportion.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you well.
Are the key resource areas of the top management fixed by the Japanese management? And if at all you could share, what would be a large percentage of those key resource areas?
So I think what we understand from your question is about you are saying what kind of involvement our parent company SCC has in our resource planning and the company planning. So yes, as a parent company, we are distributing several of their proprietary molecules in India. So to that part of the business, they have a much larger integration in terms of sharing the global knowledge and the technical know-how of the products and also a lot of other sectors, and it is a more in-depth relationship. As far as our other businesses are concerned, which are off-patent segments, so that is a business which are largely independently run from the Indian management side. If we talk about our overall resources from SCC side, there is a lot of guidance, support, and the global know-how which is available to us to access, but at the same time it is all on the advisory and in a manner which is, I think, in the best interest of the Indian company, being an independent listed company, being run and managed by its independent board.
No, also, I may add over here. I mean, to be very, honest, I think the parent company has given us enough freedom to grow, and they don't interfere in our day-to-day management decisions, etc. But we are very, very happy that if we need any advice or guidance, they are always available. And without a blink of an eyelid, we get immediate response from them to support us. So it's a very good situation to be in, where we have our freedom to manage. At the same time, we have this comfort at the back of our mind that if we need any help, we can always go back and check back with them.
Thank you, Mr. Hava. May we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Rohan Gupta from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon, and congratulations on a very strong set of numbers in the current scenario. Sir, two questions on my side. First is on this 5 products which you have got on that itself. You're talking about roughly 100 to 110 crore kind of investment we put for this in next couple of years and a revenue potential of 200 to 250 crores. I assume that given the 5 products, which I believe that given the SCC parentage and their global presence, it will be a large size opportunity. But it seems right now that each product is hardly 30 to 40 crore rupees kind of revenue potential with a 200 to 250 crore kind of revenue. So just want to understand, sir, that this is just from the parentage or from the SCC is it just initial opportunities where they want to test our capabilities and then our execution capabilities, and there is a lot more to be unearthed in the next 3 to 4 years period of time, or you see that the opportunities are limited and they have multiple suppliers and there are many chemical manufacturers, so opportunities can go to anywhere.
Thank you. I think your question and answered both at the same time. Yes, you are right. I think there are a lot of opportunities, and if we produce these 5 products and supply to Japan in a satisfactory manner, I think the opportunities are many. And as I said, even the opportunities of expanding our existing Tabuconazole capacity, etc., is very huge. It is, as I said, it is double. We are already we are thinking of putting up a 1,500 tons additional plant capacity for Tabuconazole, and this all will go in if we have the successful launch, which I'm sure we will have of this new proprietary product of SCC Japan, which is called Indiflin, and we are also banking very, very high on that. So I think there are many opportunities. This is just a startup. This is just a kickoff, and I think we'll see many more products coming in.
Thank you. So second question, and I'll come back in for any follow-up questions. Sir, in the same line, it says that we have roughly 500 crore rupees kind of cash and investments in pocket right now. Next year, we are going to have, once again, a strong cash flow generation, given your capex will be hardly less than 200 crores. So, are you seeing that there is a huge investment opportunities are there in this manufacturing of the chemicals and the intermediates for the global players, for the global parentage? And can you give some broad idea if you have worked on if your internal team has worked on that, in next 4 to 5 years, where you see that the investment in this outsourcing opportunities can be made? If any ballpark number on that, if you can give, not for next year, I'm talking about next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, so next 4 to 5 years, we have many ideas to invest this money, and I hope that in next 4 to 5 years, we also have an opportunity to buy some company where we can fill up the gap of our portfolio, or which can enhance our performance. That opportunity also will be there. There are many opportunities in even digital marketing or new startups or new technologies. We'll also be looking at that. And I think in next 4 to 5 years, if you are talking about, then there will be many opportunities in terms of not only the capital expenditure capability, but also that is a good enough time period for registration, gestation all over the globe. So yes, we are looking at.
Thank you. Mr. Gupta, may we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions. The next question is from the line of Akash Mangani from BOI AXA Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so my question is on similar lines as for the one that Rohan asked on the engagement size of Sumitomo Japan. I think you answered that. The second one is, in the opening remarks, you talked about margin drivers and reasons for better margins over the last 1 year. So I saw that you've achieved 18% EBITDA margin in FY21. Could you talk qualitatively as well as if you can give some numbers around over the medium term, say over the next 2 to 3 years, what initiatives is the management taking to increase the EBITDA margin trajectory from here, and where could this number stabilize at? Could it be in the range of 20-21% or lower, higher over the next 2 to 3 years? Your thoughts on that?
Well, once you have achieved some landmark, I think it is very difficult to go down that landmark. It can only go up.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. We are not able to hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying that once you achieve a particular landmark, it's very difficult to go down that landmark figure. So yes, our endeavor will be to maintain or increase these margins. And again, as a very general statement, whatever I have been saying, that all that we are doing is going to help towards that goal of maintaining or increasing the margins.
What initiatives is the management taking to increase it? Is it going to be more of the product mix change, more towards the
product mix change is a very important aspect of this. We are concentrating on high growth, high margin products like plant growth regulators, etc. Even herbicides we are concentrating quite a bit, and our unique way of marketing, as I've said maybe before, I don't know if you were present that time, is to have a very specific use of our products for a particular crop. So we develop our products and go to the farmer, go to the market for a very specific problem solution to the farmer. And once the farmer uses that product for that particular problem solving, they are convinced about the efficacy and they continue to buy our products. So that is a very unique SOP that we have. And our ability to reach the farmer and to demonstrate a particular crop protection in a particular crop against particular pest or disease or weed is a very unique SOP for us. And this is what is helping us to continuously grow our volumes, margins, and the overall performance of the company.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take the last question from the line of Amar Maurya from Alpha Accurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for the opportunity. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, sir, first question is, the capacity expansion of the chlorpyrifos and the tebuconazole, is it ready, and was there any contribution in the 21 as the overall 21 revenue was degrown in terms of the export? Number two, what would be the size of these 5 molecules at the parent level in terms of the formulation and technical? And number three, what kind of the export and domestic revenue mix we target in next 3 to 4 years?
We don't look at the target for export versus domestic or what should be that ratio. We want to grow both. So depending on the registration circumstances, maybe 1 year export will grow, more than the domestic. Another year, domestic can grow more than the export, because it depends on the dynamics of registrations in various geographies. So it's very difficult to say that whether we are aiming at that we want to be, instead of 20%, we want to have 30% export. No, but we want to grow overall, that is for sure. And the growth pattern or the growth plan has been set up in such a way that at a particular given point of time, exports can grow, because we have got new registrations in global market. Like we are having, I think we are planning to have 8 registrations in various geographies for exports this year. We have got some 4 or 5 in the end of last financial year. So that will come. And to your question about whether in 2021 we have got any revenues from this increased capacities or anything, the answer is no. We have increased our existing tebuconazole plant, which was historically 700 tons, to around 1350 tons now. So in the current year, we plan to manufacture up to 1350 tons. And then as a second step, we are planning to double it in one of our new sites. So does that answer your question?
And sir, one last, what is the size of these 5 molecules which we are going to manufacture? The formulation or the technical overall size at the parent level, and all these 5 molecules are going to come in the phased manner, or they are going to come all at once?
No, so one of them will come earlier than the rest, and the rest of them will come all at one time, because that's a common plant that we are building. We are erecting, and so those molecules will come at one time. The one molecule out of those 5 will come at an earlier stage.
Okay, and sir, the one
I wouldn't know the size of formulation market or in terms of dollars or something, but yes, we have we have the tonnage information, that what sort of tonnage is consumed by them. So say this 350 tons which we are putting up the plant will only meet maybe around 1/3 of the requirement of Sumitomo in that molecule. So that is why I said that we have an opportunity to double it very easily in the second phase. And
350 tons per month, right, sir?
No. It's 350 tons per annum.
Okay. You were saying something.
Yeah, and the rest of the 4 products, I think that is, as far as my understanding goes, that will be almost the entire requirement of Sumitomo Chemical Japan will be manufacturing, or will be putting up the capacities for the entire requirement.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, we will take that as a last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Masanori Ozawa-san for closing comments.
Sure. Thank you very much for joining this conference call. As a promoter of this, company, Sumitomo Chemical India, we are happy to see the results of fiscal year 2020. And like Shah-san mentioned, we are maintaining a very good relationship between Sumitomo Chemical India and Sumitomo Chemical Tokyo by exchanging the views and then sharing the values, and also exchanging very open ideas, and then opinions, thoughts, and then that will continue on. So please expect that we are going to make very good growth in the future. So again, thank you very much for joining this meeting.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Sumitomo Chemical India Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.